Hi, this is Melanie from Screen Time with Mel, and today we're going to talk about Interview with the Vampire, Season 1, Episode 1. So let's go ahead and get started. Hey everybody, thanks so much for being here today. If you are returning, I really appreciate you coming back and checking out another one of my videos. I hope you enjoyed this one as much as the last one that you watched. If you're brand new to my channel, thank you for checking me out. I really hope that you enjoy this video, and if you like all things TV and sometimes movies, then go ahead and go down below and hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the bell so that you're reminded each time I come out with a brand new video. Now, let's get on with Interview with the Vampire. So I don't know about any of you, but I read all of the Vampire series by Anne Rice. I read it years ago, so I am several years, if not, I think it's about 2 decades removed from the last time I read any of those books. But I had the whole collection. So I read all of those, and then I really did enjoy the movie with Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise. So I've got this background with Interview with the Vampire. Now, when I was going to check out this television show, the AMC series, Interview with a Vampire, I did a little bit of research, just a tiny bit, and I know that the stories, they were going to mess with Louis' history. They're messing with Louis, period. And I'm not against it. I'm not really against it. So I just want to give you that heads up on that. I went in with reservations. I went in knowing that I was getting a different interpretation of the Anne Rice books. And I'm getting used to that with The Wheel of Time. It's a little bit of a different interpretation. It's not exactly like the books, which it can't be, you guys. I think that the movie did a great job of coming very close to the books. Anyway, I digress. We're not here to talk about the old stuff. We're here to talk about the AMC series, Interview with a Vampire. So, first things first, Louis, they've got to change the history of Louis, because they made him a man of color. And a man of color in the time that Louis became a vampire was treated very differently than a white man. So, while in the books and in the movies, you understand that Louis was the son or became the head of a plantation. That's not something that was necessarily allowed for a man of color in that time period. So they changed up his backstory, and while his father was, I think, the owner of a plantation, he kind of ran it into the ground, and there was some history there. But basically, they form it out as saying the only way that a man of color in New Orleans in that time could make a living was to do it on the seedier side of town. So all of this first episode took place in a very specific part of the French Quarter. And it was among the first red light districts. So that is Louis' history. Also, Louis, and I don't recall this from the books, and I may be forgetting stuff. I mean, like I said, it's been a couple decades. He's got a sister and he's got a brother. So I don't think they mentioned any of his family, like his siblings or his parents, in the books. But anyway, is a sister and a brother, and his brother is the opposite of him and is looking to become a man of the cloth, and his sister is soon to be married. So they have those things going on the side. Of course, his brother disapproves of his life. And I'm kind of jumping all around. I know I am. So I'm going to do like I normally do and take a look at some of this. So we do start with our favorite reporter, Daniel. And I loved how this started, because when the show first started, I was watching it. I'm like, am I watching a commercial for a masterclass? What is this? No, because that's the actor playing the reporter. It can't be. And then it comes out and he's watching his own commercial for, it's called something else on the show, but it's basically a masterclass type thing. And he's watching it, and he goes and checks the mail and calls his doctor and all that, and as he gets a package in the mail, and he looks in the package, and it is an invitation from Louie along with the tapes from their previous interview, which this previous interview, and the way that they're approaching is, this previous interview was the interview from the movie. Okay, so they're setting themselves apart from the movie like that. And then of course he decides to go and meet with Louie. Louie knows he has Parkinson's disease. They mention the pandemic, which is wonderful. I love that they do that. They mention that it's been 40 years that Daniel's an old man. Now, I cannot recall. I am pretty sure. I know in the movie it indicated that Lestat changed Daniel at the end of the movie, or at least bit him. Didn't really say that he changed him, but there was that kind of implication there. In the books, I'm trying to remember, I think that Daniel was changed as an old man, as an older man. He was not changed as a young man. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was like 3 or 4 books in. I can't remember if it was Louie or Lestat that did it. I think it was Lestat, because only the first book really followed Louie, and then after that it followed Lestat. The several books after that would follow Lestat. Yeah, if anybody remembers, let me know. It's been such a long time since I've read the books. I'm going to go ahead and link the series down below so that you can check that out on Amazon if you're interested. I'll link them down below. They are wonderful books, you guys. They really are. They're easy reads. And anyway, that's enough about the books. I know I've already said that, but they are really, really good books, and I'm trying to relate it back and forth. And just remember, this is going to be a little bit of a different story because they did have to change Louie's background. As long as they make Louie brooding, which so far it looks like they're making him that way, Louie must be brooding. He must be the epitome of emo. If he is not, then this is not the Louie that I know and love, because that was Louie to a T, right? Okay, so the epitome of emo. Alright, let's get back to the show. So, you know, I'm not going to go beat by beat. They have this dance between Lestat and Louie. And there's some, Lestat does some of his tricks on Louie, and he like speaks inside his head. He slows time for Louie and himself so he can do certain things. And just, I think he's messing with Louie's perception of time. And I have a light right there, so sorry for the shadow. But he's messing with Louie's perception of time. And so this happens at the poker game, and then again towards the end of the thing. Now, it's an AMC, so it is a cable show. So they show a lot more than, say, a network show would. And so you do have the scene with the prostitute and the two of them. Now, one thing that this show is also doing that's a little bit different, but I think that's because Anne Rice did not, she hinted at this relationship, a sexual relationship between Lestat and Louie. She hinted at it, but was never overt about it. And that may have just been the times. So, she, you know, you have to be careful. If you want to sell books, you have to be careful how you term things. So, so it wasn't overt, but I actually am not against them making Lestat and Louie have a sexual relationship between them, because I feel like that was there in the books, just unwritten. It was subtext, as they love to say. So there was that, and that was the first time that Louie had been with a man, and of course he's got all of this the way he was raised, so he feels shame and guilt for, you know, what he's doing for a living. He's basically a pimp. And then this discovery that he enjoyed sex with a man and all of that. Now comes the wedding with his sister, and it's a wonderful wedding, beautiful moment between him and his brother, and kind of shuffling, I think they call it. It's basically tap dancing, but a little bit different. They did the scene of them dancing and doing that, and the story of the history behind that. And then they go up onto the roof and they watch the sunrise. And he's having this beautiful moment with his brother. And then he tells his brother that his brother says, "I love you, Louis." And then turns and walks off the roof and kills himself. There's no warning for it, nothing. The saddest part of that whole event is once it came out, Louis' mother blamed him and said, "You must have said something to set him off, because that's what you always did. You must have said something." So there's all this guilt and shame just pent up, which creates emo Louis, you know, pent up in him, which is so sad. But I'm glad that they made this history. So that's what's going on. His mother wants nothing to do with him at this time, because what she's doing, she's taking her grief out on him. And his sister mentions this. She's taking part of her grief out on him. She has to direct it somewhere, and unfortunately it's being directed at Louis. But he's directing his grief and anger inward towards himself, because he feels like everything is his fault. He thinks that it's his fault. Now he wants to die. So Lestat takes his opening and ends up following him into a church and kills the priest. And while he's there's that whole scene, and I'm not going to go into too much detail. It's extremely melodramatic in some ways. It's also very bloody. There's a second priest, and how Lestat kills the second priest is, ugh. I am sorry I was actually watching when I saw that, because sometimes I avert my eyes for some of the grosser stuff, but it was pretty gross. So that is how he ends up being turned, and that is the end of the first episode. I have skipped a lot of beats in there and stuff, but I think that you just need to, it's just setting up, this first episode was really just setting up Louis. I'm going to be honest with you, I stopped paying attention at certain points. Maybe it's because I've read the books, so I don't know. The history is important, but what ends up, only to build the character that he is currently. You know, I don't need full details in the history. I want to know, what are these points in his life that build this character that he is currently, which is emo Louis. The change in the colors of the eyes, I think, are gorgeous. I love those. I also like that they do use modern technology, so he could have a whole room that he could stay awake the whole time. And not have to get into a coffin because the room is light sealed. Although, and I may be confusing this with Charlaine Harris's vampires. So correct me if I'm wrong. Do they have to go to sleep at night or during the day? Like their body forces them to sleep, or they just need to be out of the light? You know, I'm curious. I can't recall. I might be confusing the two vampires. I think it's Charlaine Harris's vampires. And that's the True Blood series that ran on HBO for a while. I think her vampires are the ones that absolutely must sleep when the light comes up. Yeah. Anyway, give me your thoughts down below. What did you think of the changes? Did you like them? Did you not like them? You know, let me know. Are you reserving your thoughts for as you watch more episodes? I'm going to check out episode 2 and get that posted up soon. But yeah, I just wanted to get that out there and watch this. I'm enjoying it. I'm going to continue to watch it. Hopefully it keeps my attention. Hopefully it can be hard sometimes. I'm one of those that tends to divert my attention. But let me know what you think, and while you're down there, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps with the algorithm, so I really appreciate it. And if you enjoy all things TV and sometimes movies, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the bell to be reminded each time I come out with a brand new video. And thank you all so much for watching me today. You guys have an amazing day. Bye-bye.